Dubai chocolate has been trending this year, and today I'm making a Dubai chocolate inspired Christmas tree, perfect for your holiday breakfast or brunch. So in case you haven't heard about Dubai chocolate, this is a milk or dark chocolate bar filled with a creamy pistachio and tahini filling and little shreds of phyllo dough. So there's sort of this smooth texture along with the crunchiness of the dough, and it's a really yummy treat. And it's everywhere. They make chocolate bars, but then they've made all different kinds of desserts inspired by this flavor profile. So today I'm going to make a puff pastry Christmas tree with a pistachio cream filling and a chocolate drizzle inspired by this Dubai chocolate trend. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
I started by placing a piece of parchment paper on my counter and then flouring it lightly. Then I used these puff pastry sheets, which is a new product at Aldi. It comes with 2 sheets, and I thawed those for a couple hours on my countertop. And then I placed it onto the parchment paper and sprinkled a little bit of flour on top. And then I rolled it out ever so slightly just so it was a little bit bigger than the original size. For the filling, I'm using this pistachio cream, which I found at Costco. So it's kind of like peanut butter, but with pistachios instead. It's very good. You have to like pistachios to like this, but I loved the festive green color, and I thought it tasted really great too. So I used my little mini offset spatula. Of course, you could just use a knife and spread this all over the surface of the puff pastry, just leaving a tiny border around the edges so it wasn't seeping out everywhere. And then I did the same thing with the second sheet of dough, floured it slightly, rolled it out a little bit bigger, and then I grabbed my pizza cutter. And then I made a terrible error, cut really quickly on this steep diagonal line, and it was in that moment that I decided I'm going to make 3 trees instead of 1 big tree. So I used the pizza wheel to cut lines towards the center of the tree, but leaving about 1.5 inches of a line down the middle where you don't cut. Then I took each individual piece and twisted it a few times going upwards, and I cut a little tree trunk out of the excess dough as well and attached that at the bottom. Next, I beat 1 egg and then spread it all over the surface of the pastry. And I repeated this whole process with my 2 smaller trees as well. These baked at 375 degrees for about 15 minutes or until they were puffed up and golden brown. For the chocolate element, I took about a third, maybe third to a half a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips and added a couple teaspoons of coconut oil to this, and then I microwaved this in 30-second increments, and it only took about a minute total, stirring it in between until the chocolate was smooth. And then this is optional, but I did have some pistachios on hand. These were unsalted, so I shelled them, put them in a little baggie, and pounded them so that they would be smashed into little bits. Then I took my chocolate and with a spoon drizzled it over top of the tree. This is so satisfying to watch. This is really an easy thing to do, but it makes it look kind of fancy and gourmet. And then once the chocolate was drizzled, I sprinkled some of those chopped pistachios over top. I did transfer this to a white platter for serving, not only because I thought it looked pretty, but you could also really distinctly see the tree on the white backdrop. Then, as an alternative option, you could also sprinkle this with some powdered sugar if you just want that pistachio cream pastry by itself. And this my kids really liked because it sort of tasted like funnel cake with that powdered sugar on top. Either way, this tree was absolutely delicious.
I'm going to link in my description box a couple of different brands of pistachio cream that I found for you on Amazon if you're interested in recreating this recipe. Thank you so much for joining me here today in my kitchen, and I'll see you again soon.